All right, we're going to clap once if you can hear me again. There we go. All right, this is a tough class of 350 of our closest friends. I'm Mohammed Chaudhry, CEO of the Silicon Valley Education Foundation, and I'd like to first start by recognizing some key state leaders we have in the audience, starting with former State Superintendent Bill Honing, who's standing in the background. Bill, raise your hand. Give him We also have from the State Board, Trish Williams and Eileen Strauss from the State Board. If you can please stand up. I did not... There we go. We also have the President of the State Board of Education, but more importantly, a board member of the Silicon Valley Education Foundation, Dr. Mike Kirst. Mike, where are you? He's definitely here. And there's Mike. There's Mike. Give him another hand. You know, today was made possible by a few folks, and one of the most important ones was the leadership of the SD Bechtel Foundation. Bechtel has been a thought leader in Silicon Valley, in the state, and the nation when it comes to STEM education, and we'd like to recognize Susan Harvey and her team that's here. If you can please stand up. Thank you for making today possible. And Julie, we did all this for your future daughter. And Julie's expecting in just a few weeks. And this was a partnership between three organizations. The leader of that partner was David Plank with PACE, right over here, who'll be coming up next. Give him a hand. And the former president of the State Board of Education and the CEO of the New Schools Venture Fund, Dr. Ted Mitchell. Yep, there's Ted. So just to frame the day for you really quickly, this day comes down to me to be about Esmeralda. Esmeralda is currently an 8th grader at Davis Elementary School in the Oak Grove School District in San Jose. Comes from a single-parent home. She will be the first in her family to go to college. There's no one else in her family that has gone to college. Esmeralda is a representative of a lot of kids in our community, local, state, national, lots of potential, need a little bit of extra help from everyone in this room to help them achieve their potential. And hopefully her story can help us contextualize what you'll be learning today, and hopefully what you'll be taking back today and applying, so this is not a one-day event for any of us. To kind of give you an idea, for us at the Silicon Valley Education Foundation, we look at the pipeline and we see lots of key areas in working with Mike Kirst and others, using the Edelman study, which you'll hear about a little later, and many other studies to look at what are the key transition points. And at Silicon Valley Education Foundation, we have a program called Stepping Up to Algebra that takes rising 8th graders to prepare them to take algebra in the 8th grade. We also have a program for rising 9th graders that helps them with science to prepare them to take a lab science in 9th grade, to help prepare them for completion of the A to G courses and hopefully college and careers. We also have a great blog in the advocacy space called Top Ed, which John Fensterwald will be moderating a panel later as well. If you have not been a part of it, and I'll give you the wireless code, but please sign up while you're here. And we do a lot of advocacy work in this space as well, all towards the end of what's going to happen today. Because we believe that all these programs will lead towards getting Esmeralda to college and careers. And in Esmeralda's story, she has a younger sister, and now she's motivated to make sure her sister is prepared for college as well. Today we're going to be talking about math education, middle school math. Today's discussion will revolve around 4 areas. Curriculum, will be a panel on curriculum right after in a few minutes. We'll talk about access and equity, the fastest growing population, the Hispanic population, and what we can do in that space to ensure that all students are ready for college and careers. We'll have Mike Cassidy of the Mercury News organize a panel around digital tools, which we'll talk about what are the tools that we can leverage to make kids successful in the classroom. And we'll round this out with a policy panel, which will bring it all together, hopefully, to show what we can do at the statewide level as well. And all this, at SVEF, this day is not about a one-day conference where you came in, hopefully the bagels are good and you had some nice coffee and we go home to our jobs. This day will be a kickoff to a year-long process or a multi-year process. How do we take what we learned from this table into the classroom? And what I encourage each and every one of you to do is to join us in achieving our goals and goals for the entire state to prepare all students for college and careers. When Esmeralda joined the math program, stepping up to algebra, and she came to this process, she started with saying, am I going to spend my summer working on math instead of Wii games and going swimming and all these other things? At the end of it, she said, I want to go to Stanford and become a pediatrician and eventually open my own practice. Now, the caveat was only if she doesn't get into Berkeley, but that's okay. But we want to make sure, and part of that program, she did visit Stanford and saw the Stern dorms, and hopefully we've got a space waiting for her there, because that's where we know her and thousands of other kids, if we're successful today and take what we leverage today into all our classrooms, will be possible. With that, I'd like to pause and recognize the most important people in the audience here today. If you're an educator, please stand up. If you're a classroom educator, please stand up. We didn't want this event to just be about high-level policy discussion or a bunch of techies talking about tools. We made sure, and by the way, we're sold out. If there's not someone sitting next to you, there will be soon. But the idea here was to have real classroom teachers in the room as well. So A, we do a sense check. B, we can take this back to the classroom and actually leverage all these things in the real classroom. With that, thank you for coming out. As promised, the wireless code is available. I know we're in a digitally literate world. We'll have this available a little later as well. Follow us on Twitter. The hashtag is Algebra Matters. And hopefully you'll be tweeting there, and we'll project that every now and then as well to keep the conversation alive. A lot of people couldn't be a part of this discussion because of the space limitations, but there will be a lot of people on Twitter following us, and hopefully they can be part of the conversation as well. With that, I'd like to turn it over to David Plank, the founder of this event, and he'll bring some more context as well. Please join me in welcoming David Plank.
Thanks very much, Mohammed. I want to add my welcome on behalf of PACE, and I will rely on Mohammed's thanks. There are lots of people in the room whom we should thank, including the S.D. Bechtel Foundation, but Mohammed's already thanked them, so I won't do it again. This conference originated in a suggestion from Mike Kirst that PACE begin thinking about how digital technologies were going to change California's education system. And PACE put together a small working group, as we typically do, to think about the problem. That working group included Scott Hill, Susanna Loeb, Bill Honig, David Dwyer, and John and Ruth Mary Cradler, many of whom are here today. And as you might imagine, the conversation started as basically a conversation about everything. Well, it could change this, it could change that, it could be really big, it could be really exciting. But the conversation lacked a focus, and we ultimately decided that we would focus our attention on a particular curriculum problem in California, which is middle grades math, and begin to think hard about how technology could help us solve that problem in California. As we'll discuss today, technology can help a lot with that problem, but it's important to recognize that technology is in fact a conversation about everything, that in fact it can change the way we do business across the curriculum and in many other ways as well. I have to note that today is Groundhog Day, and some of you may have seen the movie, and you may be sitting there saying, I've seen this movie before, because we've been talking about technology for 30 years, and not much has happened. And so there's my first slide. When I started teaching, this was education technology. And for those of you who are younger than I am, you can lean over to a neighbor and ask him what this thing is. But that's where we started, right? Was with mimeographs. And in the meantime, we've had educational television, we've had educational radio, we've had overhead projectors, we've had whiteboards. Things are, we've been having this discussion for all of which we're expected to transform the way we do business in education. And here's where we are now. We sort of passed through all of those things, through computer labs, desktop computers, laptop computers. Now we've got tablets, we've got iPads. But what's new? It still hasn't transformed the education system. So you may wonder, as we start the day today, whether we're about to relive the same cycle of enthusiasm and disenchantment. Like the movie Groundhog Day. We're just going to relive it. We're excited now, but not going to change anything. And I rarely say this, but I will say it today. This time it's different. Okay? So I just have 3 slides. This is my 3rd slide. And the reason why it's different is this. Okay? This is an illustration of something called Moore's Law, and since you're all mathematicians, I won't explain what that is, but what it is an exponential curve. And what it means is, Moore said that basically computing capacity doubles every 2 years. Okay, what that means is that half of the computing capacity in the world came into existence in the last 2 years. And in the next 2 years, we're going to have twice as much as we have now. So we're in, I believe, the rapidly accelerating part of this curve, that my mimeograph machine is down here in the lower left-hand corner, and things move pretty slowly for a long time, but they're beginning to move really fast now. And so we've organized this conference to help everyone from classroom educators to Sacramento policymakers begin to think about how we operate in this very rapidly changing environment and how to overcome some of the challenges that we're going to face as we take advantage of those opportunities. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank Stanford University for providing this magnificent facility and arranging the weather so that we have, Stanford controls everything, I want you to know. I look forward to a great day.